Hello, and welcome to the Wheel of Time Rewind podcast. And we are doing a quick instant reaction episode today. It's me, Dylan Stoll. No Mike this week. He's out on vacation for Christmas time. So I am just going to come at you with a little soliloquy here of me giving my first instant reaction to the final episode of season 1 of the Wheel of Time, The Eye of the World. I just finished watching the episode for the very first time. We're coming at this raw, and I just have to say, what the heck was that? Because what we just watched, I don't know how it passes for the Wheel of Time, to be honest. Watching that, I felt all kinds of ways. Definitely going to have to watch this multiple times to see what I actually feel about it after I let it wash over me and deal with all of the changes that we get in this episode. And when I say all of the changes, I mean literally all of the changes. I don't know if there's anything that happened in this episode that happened in the final sequence of the first book, Eye of the World, I don't know if it even resembles the first book's ending, which is what the Eye of the World is taken from there. But I'm just going to go through this really quick, give my quick thoughts, and already you can just tell I really did not like this episode at all. I'm really interested to hear what all of you have to say about this episode. What were your thoughts on it? So if you want to send us an email at wheeloftimerewind@gmail.com or get at us on the socials for Instagram or Twitter at WOTRewind. Really interested to hear what you all have to say about this. So to get things started here, we have Rand and Moiraine traveling through the Blight. And I think, the Blight is what it is. It looks like it's infected, like it's growing out and everything. And I was cool with all of that stuff there. The big things I want to highlight here are, first of all, just Moiraine being stilled. Like, whoa, I did not see that coming. And that has huge implications for what can happen later on down the line here. That was really mind-blowing to see Moiraine getting stilled. At first, I just thought that she was shielded, and then I saw Ishamael, who was the main villain here, who was portrayed as the Dark One, but book readers know Ishamael is not actually the Dark One. But we saw him give that extra push and just sever Moiraine forever, and I'm really interested to see how that impacts the plot going forward, and it just has me thinking all kinds of things. I'm so flustered with this. I literally just finished watching this show, so I thought it was good to get a raw reaction here. The next big change I want to talk about here is the downfall of Faldara. Just Agomar going out there and basically getting killed with everyone else at Tarwin's Gap, because Tarwin's Gap does fall in this interpretation of the Wheel of Time, which is something that does not happen again in the books there. And for those of you that have read the books, you know how it gets saved, and it's saved somewhat similarly to what happens for how the Trollocs are all defeated in the show here through the use of the One Power. However, here we see Lady Amalisa gathering all the women that can channel even a drip of the One Power to gather out in front of Faldara, and we see her linking with all of them. And I just gotta say, for somebody who is supposedly too weak to actually become a full Aes Sedai, she does one heck of a job of knowing all the trade secrets from Aes Sedai that don't necessarily show up in the books. The linking bit is something that the women of the Aes Sedai know how to do, but I don't know if they would teach someone who's never meant to really channel the One Power as an accepted, because that's what it looked like Amalisa cashed out as, with her getting the ring but no stone. It looked like she finished as an accepted. I don't know if she would have known how to link And the fact that when she does link, she pulls so hard on the other women that she burns out the two other women from Faldara that were there. And then Nynaeve and Egwene are like on the edge of bursting and dying. And then Lady Amalisa burns herself out as well. But in the process, Nynaeve's like, aside from being pulled and linked, I'm going to heal Egwene too, which I don't know if you're linked, if you should be able to channel your own separate flow, separate from the linked flow. And it looked to me like Nynaeve burned herself out too. It looked like she was dead as well. But then Egwene healed her, and the whole saying that healing cannot heal death really kind of had me questioning what was going on there. Like, how far gone was Nynaeve actually? We also see Min sneaking out of the city because she doesn't want to get caught in the fighting here. And that's something else, like, I get that, like her wanting to save herself and preserve herself and all. But we do have the call for all people from Faldara to basically report to defend the city, and everyone not from there to get out of here. So if Min is not from Faldara, then that's totally acceptable for her to leave. But the fact that in this turning it looks like she is, and she's kind of taking the coward's way out and running away, that has me kind of questioning some things as well. Then the big reveal that the Horn of Valir is actually in Faldara, below the throne that Akomar was sitting on. And Uno and the other Faldaran soldiers go in to take that out and are like, oh, we're getting out the Horn of Valir, but we're not going to blow it. It's for the Dragon Reborn, Where's the Dragon Reborn? And then they don't have any idea necessarily that Rand has proclaimed himself the Dragon Reborn. So I don't know, what they were waiting for with the Horn of Valir there. And then just sticking with that throne room there, just talking about how Podden Fane and his army of Myrddraal come in, and it looks like they kill Loyal, it looks like they kill Uno, it looks like they do a bunch of damage to everybody there in Faldara on their way to grab the Horn of Valir. You can also see Podden Fane has the dagger, the ruby-hilted dagger that Matt had from earlier when he went to Shadar Logoth. And so it makes you wonder, what did Moraine and Lan do with the dagger after they separated Matt from it? And speaking of Matt, we get a picture of Matt going into Tar Valon, looking like he's still possessed and evil and everything like that. And it just, again, it's mind-blowing to me, the decisions that were made for this episode. I'm really struggling to come to terms with what we're seeing for this. I got really ahead of myself talking about all of this, and as you can tell, I'm excited, kind of worked up a little bit from watching the show and everything. So I wanted to also mention how we get our first look at Luce there in Telamon, back in he was the cold open there when he was with the other Aes Sedai woman. It looks like they're making the fracture of the Aes Sedai taking place on screen here, where you see Luce there and wanting the women of the Aes Sedai to come with him and his companions up to the Dark One's prison to try to seal him off. And it looks to me like some other big changes were made there. It was really cool that they were speaking the old tongue. I really liked that because I understood that's what it was. But non-book readers, and I was watching this with my fiance Amy, who hasn't really read the books, and so she was like, why are they speaking in this weird language? What's going on here? So the fact that wasn't really ever explained or addressed, and we had maybe one mention of the old tongue earlier in the season, made it kind of strange. But in the books, Luce there in Telamon is basically the Amyrlin seat of the old school Aes Sedai, both men and women. But it looks like here they're giving the women their own leader, being the Amyrlin seat, and then they're giving the men their own leader, and they're calling him the Dragon Reborn, which again is really strange and really weird to me considering Luz Theron Telamon was the original dragon. And I know this whole series we've been referring to him as the last dragon, which is another thing that, I do take a little issue with. But having him not be the originator of the word, or of the title rather, of dragon is a little strange. And having that be the title of the leader of the male Aes Sedai, again, really strange. I like the dress, how Luz Theron was a male channeler and wearing black to represent that half of the symbol of the Aes Sedai, whereas the other woman was wearing white, dressed as the other side of the Aes Sedai symbol. So together they make that whole uniform, kind of yin-yang-ish looking symbol. We then get a scene that is straight out of Egwene's testing to become accepted, which is the scene of her and Rand with their baby Joya in this farm village here. This is probably the Two Rivers. Only this time it's twisted around, where we have Rand experiencing this as you really want this. This is what you could have, vision from the Dark One. And I thought that was okay. I thought that was fine. It was really interesting how it was a book throwback if you recognized it. But I also really thought it was strange how Rand was kind of operating within the real world and the dream world that Ishamael had put him in at the same time. Where you saw that scene, the camera spinning around and around of Rand standing up and holding out the Sa'angreal and doing that. And I also want to address how Rand just up and leaves at the end of this show here. And man, oh man, where the heck is he going? He's just wandering around the Blight now. We already saw what happens when young boys go out into the Blight and they're over their head. So that is very strange to me. And the fact that the fact that Moraine agrees basically to say Rand dies without actually saying it and lets him go is just so strange as well, because she realizes at the end there, wait a minute, this was not the last battle. We actually need the Dragon Reborn still. This was just a battle in the fight for survival here. So what my theory is that the Eye of the World was not actually the Dark One's prison. What the Eye of the World was is it was one of the locations for the Quendiar discs that lock his prison. And I think if they do it that way, they can explain, there's Shayl Ghul still out there, and that's where the Dark One actually is. It's the big bad headquarters. And, who knows, maybe Rand will stumble onto the doorstep of Shayl Ghul. But I don't know. I thought it was very odd to have him kind of wander off there. And now we have to talk about the quick little snippet of what's to come at the end here. And we have what Mike and I have been calling for all season long, and even before we started watching the series, when we heard about the trailer and everything, we had guessed it. At the very end, we have the Shan-Chan arriving, which I'm really excited about this because Shan-Chan are really crazy, and I really am looking forward to seeing some scenes involving them in Season 2 of The Wheel of Time. However, we have to talk about the Domani that are with them, because it looks like they're wearing this weird little golden mouth guard gag, but there's no chain, there's no collar, there's no wrist clamp. The entire IDOM, which makes it so that the Domani are able to be controlled by their mistresses and stuff like that, that's gone. And so I'm just curious how they're going to play that out, because the whole IDOM plays into so much more than just this one scene. It's a recurring theme throughout the entire book, where you have these Aes Sedai and other women who can channel being forced into wearing this IDOM and controlled. And the whole Dark One has this whole plot where he's going to get the Forsaken to put an IDOM around Rand's neck, and all kinds of bad stuff goes on in the future revolving IDOM. So I'm really hoping that they do like a change between the ending of season 1 here and the starting of season 2, although I do know that they are already filming season 2 here. So hopefully they hear this feedback loud enough that they need to actually include the IDOM, that they actually go back and make any edits if they didn't change that already. We can only hope. But yeah, I'm still reeling from this episode. I am very lost as far as what's happening. I am very confused as to why they made such absolutely massive fundamental changes that they did make to this part here, the very ending of this season. And I'm just trying to recover and work through this all. I know after this, I really want to get on the phone and just give Mike a call and talk through this with him, because him and I have not spoken yet. And we are going to come at you guys next week, or should I say later on in this week, with another episode with both Mike and myself. And we will put out our full thoughts on this episode, do a full breakdown. But with how crazy this episode was and Mike's unavailability, we didn't want to wait until Thursday to put out another episode. So I decided to do a quick instant reaction podcast here. Again, really want to hear what you all have to say about this episode, how this episode hit you, what you liked, what you didn't like, and just all these, all this craziness that we're seeing and where the show leaves us waiting until we get to pick up in season 2. So with that being said, we're going to get on out of here and keep this a short one today. So we'll see you at the next turning of the wheel. Goodbye.